Hey guys, hello and welcome to this series of discussions where we discuss how to improve upon your CAT score. And today we have with us Vishan, Pragya, and Aditya, who have done very well in CAT 2020, and they have had a marked improvement from the score in CAT 2019. So we'll be discussing how they went about after CAT 19 to CAT 20, what has the journey been and what is that they did differently from previous years to improve upon this course. So, guys, I open the floor to you, and if you could, any one of you could just take the lead and let us know, give your background, and let us know your journey so far.
Yeah, so I'm Pragya, and this year I'll be heading for I'm Calcutta. So my CAT percentile this year was around 99.57, whereas last year it was somewhere around 92 point, a range between 92 and 93. And the two sections I struggled were verbal and DILR.
Okay.
Yeah. So verbal, I had a 63 percentile, and for DILR, I had a 92 percentile. So my journey, the another phase of this journey began by analyzing my mistakes and not taking failure for so long, rather than accepting it and moving on. So I analyzed my mistakes and open-heartedly accepted that I'm not at all good at verbal, whether it's vocab, whether it's grammar or comprehension, and started from the very basics. And I made daily doses for myself. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So if I'm bound to do like 4 RCs a day and a sectional every other day, so I will have to do it no matter what. And in my opinion, consistency is the key to crack CAT. Like if you are consistent throughout your 6 to 8 months, it becomes very easy for you.
Okay, Pragya, thank you for that. From what I understand, you worked on your weaknesses and you analyzed your strengths and weakness, and then started working on your weakness, and then focused maybe on other sections. All right. So, Vishan, would you like to go next?
Yes, sir. So, starting with my background, so I had a 95 in class 10th, a 90.8 percentage in 12th, and 82.3 percentage in graduation. I graduated from NIT Raipur in electrical engineering, and I have a 3 years of work ex in ZS Associates and
Okay.
in analytics consulting. Yeah. So basically, last year my percentile was like 87.19 overall, and it was mostly due to a low percentile in VARC as well as DILR. So what I did was this year for improvement was I mostly focused on improving those two sections because I knew that quant was a strong area for me. So I devoted much more time for those particular two sections. And being in a consulting background, it was like a hectic work schedule for me, and a very tough routine to follow. Like I had a 13-14 hours of job daily. So yeah, so I tried to give like 1 to 1.5 hours a day to VRC as well as to DILR, and
Okay.
very less portion to QA. And I ended up securing like 99.4 percentile in overall, and 86.41, not a good but a decent enough percentile for being eligible to get a call at least in VRC.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Vishan, for that. Seeing similar trends that you also tried to identify where you were going wrong, and CAT 2019 offered you that benchmark. So you worked on that and improved your scores in each of the sections actually. So I'll come back to that. Aditya, would you like to go with your journey?
Yeah. So I gave CAT 2019 and I scored around 82 percentile. That was really a low point because I had not prepared as well, but that actually gave me a assessment of where I stand in CAT according to CAT. And my DLR percentile was 83 and my quant percentile was 82. So I was really lagging on these two sections. So this year I was able to score 99 percentile in DILR, and then I scored 97 percentile in quantitative aptitude. So what I did was basically I focused on two things. First, my subject matter expert. So I need to know mostly all the concepts that are there, all the various type of questions. So I tackled at least 10 questions from different from various aspects in DILR. So that was my first goal, to solve as many sets as possible. And the second which I worked on was strategy, because I
Okay.
know people talk a lot about strategy, but it is something which is very important when you give CAT, right? So it's very, very important besides knowing how to solve a set. So those two things work for me. And obviously adding to what Pragya said, that, when consistency is the key. And I think I'd like to add that persistence is also a key, because you need to not only be consistent, but you can't get bogged down by your, failures, or by not able to solve a set. So that was the key for me. And for quant, besides knowing what all the concepts are, I think the strategy of solving questions in a round, that really helped in this time as well.
Okay. So Aditya, are you an engineer?
Yeah, so I'm an engineer. I'm a chemical engineer for BIT Mesra, and I have a
Okay.
3 years of work experience.
Okay, because engineers usually struggle in DARC, but for you it was the other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's different. But yeah, whatever works. Same was the case with me. I was good at VARC, but not good at DILR. So, okay, guys. So what I understood here is you all three of you use CAT 2019 as a benchmark for yourself. You knew your weak areas, you knew where you're scoring less, and you decided to tackle that. So, will I be correct in saying that you started off with sectionals and focused on those and improved upon that and maintained that consistency? So you set out a schedule for yourself that you'll do these many questions or these many sets every day, or maybe twice or thrice a week at least. And that's how you kept on incrementally improving yourself. So, Vishant, I'd like to ask you that you said you were working with VS. So it would have been tough to find out time. So how did you manage? And in fact, to both of you, but Vishant more importantly, because consulting can be very taxing.
Yeah, so like I started my work at 11 in the morning and I ended
Uh-huh.
up like at 12 or 2 or anything in that range.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I found time from 2 to 4 to study, and like 4 to 8 I slept, and from 8 to 11 again I studied. So means it was like a very tough job for me to maintain a sleep schedule of only 4 to 5 hours for like 4 to
Okay.
5 months.
Okay.
I found time in weekends to sleep like 7, 8 hours,
Hmm.
but yeah, this was the schedule I followed.
Yeah, so it's also about managing your time. And like Aditya said, key strategy is important. So I believe that was your strategy.
Yes.
And I think these things help you in your actual exam as well, because you know how good you are and at what times you are good. So what suits you. So
Yeah.
you were able to manage with 4 hours sleep. So that's pretty great. Uh, so Pragya, you were also working?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
also working throughout. So my work was, since I was in development, so we were more in an agile framework. So we had
Uh-huh.
like 15 days sprint. So I knew that days towards the end will be very hectic and days towards the beginning would be very chill. So I managed my entire schedule according to that. So
Okay.
as soon as like on every Wednesday we got our work tasks assigned, I made my separate tasks that okay, these days I'll have more hours, so I can focus on the concepts and solving various type of questions. And then the other days I have limited hours, so I can just give sectionals or a full mock or something like that. So in my opinion, that thing very much helped me because it keep my things in track and managed my time very well. So although at times it was hectic, but then it was like easy for me to keep a track of where I'm going.
And what about you, Aditya?
So I was working till July. And
Okay.
when I started my preparations, I was still working. But then I realized, we guys have a certain to-do list where we have our certain day-to-day goals that we have to achieve. So I was lagging behind. I had an operations job, so I had to
Okay.
be on the field a lot. So it was a bit physically taxing for me as well. So that is why what I did was, after July, I resigned, and then the next 4, 5 months I concentrated solely on CAT. because I knew that I had to make a lot of improvements in a lot of areas.
Mhm.
So for me as well, the day-to-day objectives was how the gradual improvement took place. But that for that I need to give all my at least 8 to 10 hours a day into my CAT preparations.
So Aditya, we face this dilemma a lot. A lot of students ask us that should they leave their job. So what we tell them is that it's completely up to them. That if they can concentrate, juggle both job and work preparation, that would be great. But like, how did you manage to decide? How did you? What was the thinking behind, rationale behind leaving your job, full-time job, and concentrating solely on CAT?
So for me, it was since I had a 3 years of work ex, I knew that I had to go for an MBA, and I also knew that I was somewhere running out of time because
Mhm.
right now I had the perfect mix of experience and age as well. So I needed to know that for me, I wanted to go all in. So for me,
Mhm.
that was the only factor. I cannot have a plan B or a plan C for me. So I wanted to go all in. I didn't want to leave any stone unturned. So that is why I went and it gave me the liberty to focus solely on this. I know people, are very good multitasker, like Vishan as well said, sleeping 4 hours a day and multitasking. But for some people, you need to understand what works for
Absolutely.
you and not works
Absolutely.
for others. So
Yeah.
that's how I took my decision.
No, very, very, very well said that you need to realize what works for you.
Yeah.
So we are here discussing our success story, but people watching this need to understand that you can take parts, bits and parts out of it. The exact same strategy might not work for you. You
Yeah.
have to realize what is going for you and what is going against you, and probably manage your preparation around it. So very well said, Aditya, and we will definitely guide people towards you who will ask us whether they should continue the job
Yeah.
or get into full-time preparation. So very well said. So you guys started with your sectionals, and so what would this time period be? I mean, what was this timeline, if I were to say? When did you start preparing, and when did you start doing your sectionals? Till what time did you do that, and when did mocks started coming in?
So for me, I completed all the syllabus, all that I had to learn about the academics part of it by July. So
Okay.
I had kept a deadline for me that I would start giving mocks and sectionals as well, from August. So
Okay.
that was the key for me. The last 4 months at least, I need to focus solely and more about analyzing the mocks than actually giving the mocks. So I needed more time for that. That's why I started it from August.
So, but when did you actually start the preparation? So you gave CAT 2019 in November, I'm guessing, and results would have been out in January. So I'm again taking a guess that you started post Jan, or did you go through the interview process and then start your preparation?
No, so I knew that I didn't want to take. So I obviously wanted to focus on CAT 2020.
Okay.
So for me, figuring out those initial few months like Jan, Feb, March, what I need to do. Do I need to continue with my job, or do I need to,
Uh-huh.
go for CAT again? That kind of dilemma was there. Speaking out to all the mentors that I have, all the seniors that gave their own opinions. So for me, actual preparation started in the month of April. So
Okay.
April, May, June, July was where because I knew I was lacking a bit. So I knew I had to cover a lot of portion, a lot of ground. So that is when, around April was when I started, seriously prepping for CAT 2020.
Okay. And what about you, Vishan and Pragya?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So my for me, till April end, I was considering taking admission to a Tier 2B school, but then I figured out that this is not something what I have to do. So from May, I started working rigorously. So as Aditya said that. He made a deadline for himself that by this time he had to complete the concept. Same I followed. So by my target was either June or mid of June, since I had studied 1 year already, and I was very well aware that what concepts I have to cover, which material I have to use, and which resources I have to use. And then from the other thing was there is a lot of hover about mocks. So last year, what was my major mistake was I gave a lot many mocks, more than that
Okay.
they are actually required. Like extreme of anything is also bad. So
Uh-huh.
I just completed all my syllabus in 1 month, and going from then I just keep on giving mocks every other day and everything. And so that somewhere made me lose a lack of my concepts. So
Okay.
this time, like I started mocks with like one in 15 days, and then coming down to one in 10 days, then once in a week. And going forward last 2 months, yes, I was very much rigorous towards it. But then by that time I was very well imbibed by my concepts and the foundations. And also I analyze them a lot much better than I used to. So like suppose I'm doing all the arithmetic questions wrong, might be only due to silly mistake, I went back, solved all my arithmetic exercises again, and then gave make sure then I gave the next mock. So that really helped improving the score at every step. Otherwise you'll come to a breach, and then that score is difficult to bypass.
Great.
Uh,
Great, Pragya. Yeah, Vishant.
yes. So for me, preparation started around mid-April and ended around like end of June, basically. So I started giving sectionals starting June and mocks starting mid-July, I believe. And like in September, the news came, the pattern changed. So yeah, I had means due to work, I had very little or very less amount of time left. So what I did was daily start. Since October when the admit cards came, since then I started giving mocks on a daily basis.
Okay.
Means earlier I was not able to focus much more on mocks because of 3 years. I didn't get a 3 year continuous break or something of that sort. So I had to give it in breaks, and it was like hindering my performance because you are not stable all round the clock.
Mhm.
So starting October, when after the admit cards were out, so I started giving mocks 8:30 or 10:30. I had a slot of 8:30 to 10:30, so I started giving mocks daily on in that slot. So majority of my mocks were focused in the end part. Like if I gave approx 30 mocks in the end part. Yeah.
Okay. So again, all three of you decided after your CAT results, and Pragya also went for GD and PI. So how did you? What was the thought process behind taking CAT again? So that's very important because you have a score in hand, and incremental benefit is not much. I mean, 90 to 99 is tough than 60 to 90. So how did you decide that, okay, this is what we want to do? Because it's very difficult to realize or to even make sure that you will improve. The scores could have decreased also. It could have gone either way. So how did you decide that you go for it again?
So for me, it was firstly in my opinion, this is something very personal. You need to analyze like which position you are in. So I came from a tier three or a tier two college. Like many people don't even know the name. So for me, like it was required that I have a good tag on myself, and that at least I really wanted to get exposure into a field where I have the best students coming in. And secondly was like not to be offensive, but going for like tier two colleges at times does not pay off that well. So and at this point of career, when you already have a 3 years work ex, a decent job, you can make a switch and maybe go through that way to take more like 6 months longer or that, but then you can be there too. So that analysis was like it helped me that okay, then this is worth giving a shot. So like even if it does not goes as planned, we can have a plan B, and it is very necessary to have a plan B because that's what keeps you like stress free. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as Pragya mentioned, I also had the same thoughts in mind. Like I had a plan B in place of switch. So yes, that strategy fits for me as well.
No, but you had a plan B, but how did you decide that you'll give CAT again? I mean, that plan B is
Yes.
something that if it didn't work out, but to make it work, what was the thought process, or why did you attempt it again? You could have just continued with your work.
Yes. So major reason for me attempting CAT was I wanted to switch to finance. means
Okay.
finance rules. That was a major trigger point which I had in mind.
Right.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
you,
for
what about?
me, yeah, it was like I really wanted to, like, I've been in IT for 3 years and I have an inclination towards IT consulting and Prodman. So
Okay.
that was something I like thought it going there would help me reach my, yeah, the
Okay.
levels very soon.
And what about you, Aditya?
So I didn't score good at CAT 2019. So I had always been sure that I'm going to give CAT 20 because your goal is always to get at least like bare minimum should be at least 99 and above. That is how challenging the current the competition around us is. So it really was a no-brainer for me. I had to go for it again.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes life make the decision for you. Sometimes you have to take the decision. So we
Yes.
have all two decisions being taken right here. So very important to realize this that it can go either ways, and for some it is like plan B is there, so you have that cushion, and for some it's like there's no plan B, so you're going all in. So that is also a motivation. Yeah. So coming then next to the mocks part. So you guys started from April and July, August is till when you worked on your sectionals or your weak points. But then how did you go about mocks? So like Pragya said that last year it was a deluge of mocks for her. Too many mocks were hampering her performance. So this time she again had a strategy around it that first she'll take it slow and then build towards the later end. And so what about you two, Aditya and Nishan?
So yeah, I definitely agree with Pragya on this, and I think 99% people do make this mistake of giving too many mocks, giving
Okay.
daily mocks. Some give daily
Uh-huh.
mocks. So I understood that this was this was a point where I needed to work on. So I took it gradually as well. So I decided at the beginning of the no, in the August I decided that I'll be giving a mock every week. So
Okay.
that what I did was I fixed one day for giving a mock, and the next 6 days were all besides analyzing the mock, it was more about working on those weak sections or the weak areas for me. So I always kept an Excel sheet. I maintained an Excel sheet where I wrote about each type of questions that I encountered, and the time taken to answer that questions, and whether I did it correct or not, because that takes a lot of time, and it's very very taxing as well, because you have to keep on analyzing, keep on doing, and this takes time. You cannot just go through your mock in like an hour or two. It takes properly 4 or 5 hours to analyze a mock. So that was that is very really very important, that you analyze everything, that starting from a time to your strategy, and then working on it, so that even if there's a 0.1 percentile improvement in that section, I think it's still an improvement. So I
Absolutely.
always, my goal was to always improve on even of a 1 percentile or a 2 percentile improvement in each section.
So small steps, but yeah, they lead to big results. Very well said, Aditya. And Vishan, what was your strategy about on mocks?
Yeah, so when it was the time of October last year, so by that time I saw that I'd given only 4 to 5 mocks, I believe not more than 5. Yes, so I thought that I attempted very less mocks and I need to attempt more, so at least get an idea of different types of questions that are possible and how should I be in such a situation. Means it can be a stressful situation or whatever it is. So I need to at least get habituated to that. So what I decided was like I had no other option than to give daily mocks, but I'm countering Adit's point. But yeah, I had no option left than to attempt daily mocks. So what I did was like I attempted mocks in the morning, and like after work, I found like 3 to 4 hours daily to analyze those mocks in the last month, I should say. Yes.
So
It
one
works differently for different people. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally correct.
true. So again, it's like deciding what. So mocks is again a thing. So just like your preparation, it's something that will work according to you, according to your strength and weakness. Stressing on that part again. So you need to realize how much quantity you need to give or how much quantity you need to take. Some people do one mock or two mocks a week, and some people do it daily. But most of the time, I have seen that towards the end, I mean, when the cat is approaching, that's when people increase the frequency. But you also don't want a burnout. So, like Pragya very rightly said, that can have that fatigue or burnout of giving too many mocks, and you don't want that to happen on the day of your CAT. So what I used to tell my students was that it needs to be a bell curve and or a parabola, and somewhere around the peak is where you want to be. So too many mocks will take you away from your peak. So another thing that I used to follow was that I used to give mocks during the CAT time, so that my body could be in sync, or that I could wake up and be fresh at that time, because I am a very lazy person and I sleep very late, and you don't want that. So again, it's like working out on your strategy, personalized to you, and seeing what is going for you. So one thing that I would again like to ask you guys was that how did you define your strategy, or how did you sharpen your strategy by giving mocks? So when did you realize that, okay, this is something that is working for me, and this is what I need to continue and build upon? Because in the initial few mocks, you do a lot of variations of attempts and time in the section, but then you realize that, okay, this is what is my forte, and you then sharpen that. So when did that sweet spot come?
So for me, it was especially when the pattern changed. So till
Okay.
then, I was doing decent, and I was very much used to the 3 hour mocks, because last time I had, although I had given many mocks, so it helped me somewhere or the other. So, but when the pattern changed, everything started going south. Like, because I was so much used to that 1 hour for each section, that
Yeah.
my head, I was selecting, and my pace was for 1 hour. So that's when I started failing. So I I picked up separate sections.
Okay.
And yeah, like I waited for the 40 minutes sectionals to come out, and I focused on them individually, because I know that if I can sit like together for 3 hours, I can easily sit together for 2 hours as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, it was a tough thing, especially for DILR, because that changed my whole strategy. So
Mhm.
then I started coming up like all solving starting with each set or scanning them, because 40 minutes is a very short time when it comes, like
Mhm.
especially for me for DILR. So I like decided, okay, I'll give 3 to 4 minutes to scan the entire paper, and I'll have like which sets to go for in round one, which to go for in round two, and so on and so forth. And similarly for verbal, I tried almost 5 to 6 strategies across different mocks. My scores were like not increasing because of that. But then at the end of the day, it started helping me. After 5, 6 mocks, it came out good. So for me, I struggled a lot with RC. So I make small points for each passage. But when the time reduced, I was not having this much liberty. So I like, out of panicking, I started like reading and attempting, and that made it wrong. So I had to sit and figure out how can I tackle this in 40 minutes. And as Vishan and Aditya also said, like it's very personal, and everyone here will have a different strategy. So I cannot just pick up somebody's strategy and apply to mine. Like I can have a permutation combination of everything. And second thing which helped me was I knew which type of questions I'm not going to pick. I was very, very sure. Like in quant, although it was my very strong section, but I know if I see probability, I'm not doing it. If I see geometry, and no matter how tough the question is, I'll go for it. So that way, the things you need to know. And for CAT, it is a lot about which questions not to pick.
Yeah. Very well said.
And especially for DILR as well. So I
Mhm.
knew that these type of sets, if I see them hanging there, I'm not going for them.
Yeah.
So that helped me a lot.
Yeah, so we saw that in the last interview also, that people stressed upon the fact that you need to understand which questions to pick and which not to pick. Equally important, because you take it upon your ego sometimes that how am I not able to solve this question, and you dedicate a lot of time to it, and that wastes your time actually. Because even if you're solving it in say 10 minutes, you could have solved two other questions in that time. So the return versus the risk is not that great. Yeah. So Vishan, Aditya, would you like to add something to it?
So I would completely agree on the DILR part, and quant being my with Pragya obviously. So quant being my strong section, I knew I need to attempt most of the questions possible, and in the VARC part, I knew whatever I do, I won't end up getting more than 90 percentile in that section. So it was like I need to get the bare minimum, that is 85% to get a call. So I was in half of the mocks, I was not even able to get a 70 percentile or something. So I was like, it is a do or die for me. Whatever I did, nothing worked for me. No strategy worked. So yeah, I kind of hated that section.
No, but when did you realize, okay, that this is what is working for me and this is what I need to continue now?
So that's what I'm saying, means whatever I tried, nothing worked for me, means no strategy worked. Yeah. So it was like, if luck favors, I'll get 85 percentile. If not, then I'm gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Aditya?
That was very honest by Vishan. He
Yeah.
really stressed on, it's not always that strategy is going to work for you. And it is correct, it does not always work for you. So what I did was, especially in quant, I was under the impression that quant is one of my strongest suit, but it wasn't. Okay, so
Okay.
I understood this from the 2019 scorecard. So once I started solving the mocks, I could see that I was spending way too much time, like 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and taking it upon you ego. So why? Because time and work is something which I've studied for a long time. So it really takes up on your ego that, why am I not able to solve time and work? It's an easy concept. So letting go of that ego was my first step, and it is not easy. Let me tell you that when I used to solve mocks, I used to be prepared that, okay, I'm not going to take up time and I'm not going to take it up on my ego, but I still did in a few questions when I was analyzing my mocks. So it is a very continuous process. You cannot just give up and, just keep it in the back of your mind. You really have to implement it on your mock day. So that is how I did. So that was one of my strategies, letting go of my ego and really focusing on what my strong areas were. And secondly, the point when I decided, like Pragya said, you have to do a lot of permutation and combination, trying to pick, choose what works for you and what not. I did the same thing. I made three plans I made for each, giving or trying out in different mocks, and sometimes plan A worked or sometimes plan B worked. But at the end of the day, say about a month from the D day, is when I realized, averaged out everything, that in what cases the plan worked the most. So I still kept a very flexible strategy. I was not too rigid on it. So I kept a flexible strategy. I tried to focus on what my strengths were, and if plan A works, well and good, but I still had a plan B or a strategy B in my mind. So I was at least a month to go from CAT. I think you need to be clear about what strategy you are going to take up, so that it really frees up your mind and you can concentrate on the questions.
Very, very rightly said that you need to understand this part very well, that what are you going to do on the D-Day, and you need to practice that as well. So you cannot just have one strategy and trying that out on CAT. So that can like be very, very risky. The rewards can be huge, but it can also go exactly opposite. And more often than not, it goes the exact opposite. So you need to understand that with practice, you become more confident. And even if in the actual paper, you sometimes miss out on few questions. So you don't panic because you have had those situations earlier also. So that is very, very important that you keep your calm and composure. And that only comes after a lot of practice during the mocks. And like we discussed right now, that mocks is important, but analysis of mocks is more important than giving mocks.
Yeah.
So people sometimes just give mocks and they're done with it and they understand that their score is something and then they start working right on the weak parts. But analyzing each and every question and analyzing what went wrong, where it went wrong, and sometimes which questions you were attempting and not getting correct, that's equally important. So like all of you said that you were probably giving 3 hours, 2 hours mocks, but giving 5 to 6 hours of analysis to it. So that's almost a day you were dedicating to each mock. So that's very important. And so I that brings me to the next part, that how did Prep Zone help you in your journey, and what would you like to say about Prep Zone?
So for me, although I was not a regular student, but I was very active in that group. So the daily content which came up, be it VARC or be it the LRDS sets, and also the Shubham sir's daily LRDS sets, we which he used to update on YouTube regularly.
Mhm.
Those helped me a lot. Apart from that, I found a very good peer group, and that something made the decision that okay, for the next phase, which was GDPI, that I should go here. And the learning from peer to peer is like amazing. It helps you learn a lot many things. And also, like, although we had individual mentors, but all the mentors are there to like help you out 24/7. And that is where like prep zone helped me because of the personal attention. Because even like after scoring decently in CAT, there were a lot many black holes for me in the GDPI preparation. I wasn't doing good, and Prashant sir knows it very well. So so that's where like every one of them helped me tackle a different zone. So and in a total it came out thankfully very well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Uh, Anyone else would like to
Yeah,
go?
so I joined Prep Zone in like January for the GDPI part,
Okay.
and like I was completely blank on which coaching to join for the GDPI because I was not sure where I'll get benefited the most. So yeah, I trusted on Shubham Rankasar and I joined GDPI coaching for Prep Zone, and that's where I got to know that there are many parts I lagged on. I thought that GDPI is the most easiest part of all those. Like cracking CAT is the toughest part, but it was just the other way around for me. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Aditya?
So yeah, Vishan rightly said, it is tough, and actually giving CAT is only half the battle won. We are under the impression that if you have a good CAT percentile, then you are probably going to land up into a good school, and that is true. In fact, if you get a good percentile, you are you have a very huge advantage over the rest of us. But at the end of the day, if you don't do good on a GD or on a essay or on a PI, there are very too many aspects to consider even after you have given them CAT. So for me as well, what I really enjoyed, which I really cherished during this the after giving the CAT was the GDPI mentorship that I got from PrepZone. It was really the community based learning, which Pragya said. The peer to peer connect when we're discussing in groups, when we are just discussing it, any topic, be it news or just about colleges or anything about that. It really gives you a fresh perspective. It really gives you it boosts your confidence as well. So for GDPI prep, I think going forward, I'm going to suggest a lot of my juniors and my whoever comes to me for advice. I would really, because and also the mentors are so young and so full of ideas, and everything is so like refreshing for me as well. So I when I spoke to my mentor, he introduced me to a whole different group of mentors, his juniors, his seniors, and a lot of people. So it's not restricted. We're not constrained to speak to only one of the guys. We have Shubham sir, we have Prashant sir, we have everybody you want to speak to. You can just go on and just drop a message, and it's so easy to reach them. So for that, GDPI, the whole mentorship was a really good experience for me. And besides that, the Facebook community, where they post a lot of questions, daily reads, those are the really things which matters a lot, because you cannot stay in your shell and do your preparation. For that, you need to come out, you need to participate in groups, you need to check out what different questions are there. And that's the favorite part actually.
Got it. So thank you guys for this, and I hope that we'll be able to help more people going forward. And this has been a very enlightening session. And like you all three of you said, that CAT is like half the journey, and the journey begins. The journey is post CAT as well, and that's where you need to concentrate as well, not take that lightly, because score doesn't guarantee you a convert. It's a mixture of CAT, GDPI, everything. So that's really, really important. And so where to next? Where are you guys headed now? So Pragya said
Probably.
she's joining IIM Calcutta.
Yeah, probably I'm going to MDI Gurgaon as of now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Aditya?
I still haven't decided. So
Okay.
I'm juggling between either IIFT, which results are about to come,
Uh-huh.
IIM Rohtak, or I'll go for maybe there's a third option, IMT Ghaziabad as well. So
Okay.
those are the three
Okay.
options that I'm looking at.
Mhm. So I hope you convert all three, and then it will be a very good decision, good problem to have at hand. to decide. Yeah. So guys, thank you for joining today and taking time out on Sunday. This was very, very informative, and I hope people can take positives out of it and take the parts which suit them the most and apply it to themselves and create a strategy for themselves and improve upon their score or build a very good score. So thank you guys for joining, and with that, I'll stop the recording.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.